Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
Melissa delicately sipped the beer before approaching me with a subtle smile, sharing the drink through a kiss. In that moment, I knew everything was about to change. As she settled onto my lap, warmth spread through my body, and my last shred of reason disappeared with a soft click. That night, things happened that I could never confess to my wife. Even now, the memories return with startling clarity, sending shivers through me. Deep down, a part of me secretly longs for such an encounter again. I'm Jacob, a 32-year-old office worker and married man. This is the story of how I met my wife and our path to engagement. We met through a blind date set up by a coworker. Though my wife wasn't conventionally beautiful, her sweet smile captured my heart, and I pursued her eagerly. Her bright, friendly personality drew many attractive friends to her circle. One sunny holiday while walking downtown with my wife, we ran into her friends. Among them stood Melissa. Her beauty was striking, outshining everyone else in the group. She was tall with a model's figure, her long hair flowing to her chest in natural waves that moved sensually in the breeze. Her arms, bare in a sleeveless blouse, looked silky smooth, while her fitted knit top elegantly highlighted her curves. Her slender, pale legs beneath her short skirt were absolute perfection, drawing every eye. While I was stunned by her beauty, barely able to meet her gaze, Melissa warmly started the conversation. "Nice to meet you, Jacob. You're even more handsome than in your wife's photos." Her playful yet alluring smile made my pulse race. She had an effortless way with men. Every move seemed naturally seductive. As someone about to marry and with little experience with other women, this chance meeting with Melissa left an unforgettable impression. Shortly after that memorable first meeting, I was having lunch downtown with my wife. While talking about an upcoming movie, she mentioned, "I got baseball tickets from work. Want to go?" Being a baseball fan, I agreed right away. "Melissa will join us too, be nice." "Oh, Melissa? Your gorgeous friend from before?" "It was such a quick meeting. I'm surprised you remember." My wife commented, "But how could I forget such beauty?" I tried to keep my voice casual to hide my excitement. "Melissa loves baseball just like you do, Jacob." This unexpected news from my wife thrilled me. Could this be fate? Lost in daydreams, I couldn't focus on the movie we watched after. Finally, game day arrived, and we planned to meet at the station exit near the stadium. My wife and I got there first to wait for Melissa. The station was packed with fans, making it hard to spot anyone in the crowd. Look, there she is. Though she looked beautiful in photos, my heart raced at the thought of seeing her in person again. Then, through the ordinary crowd, an extraordinary woman appeared. Her team cap sat charmingly askew, while her long brown hair cascaded elegantly over her fitted top, highlighting her figure. Her legs, shown off by shorts, were pale and gracefully slim, catching every eye. It was unmistakably Melissa. Despite the constant flow of people, she stood out completely. Oh my, the subway was so packed. Melissa's wide-eyed expression was captivating. I kept to myself what I wanted to say. "Seeing you today is even more overwhelming," and stayed quiet. "Please take good care of me today." Melissa gracefully removed her cap in greeting, and the subtle sweet scent of her hair made my heart skip. We entered the stadium and enjoyed the game for a while. When my wife went to the restroom, I found myself alone with Melissa. "Jacob, remember when we first met?" Melissa leaned in closer, her voice soft and suggestive. Her tone held a mysterious sensuality while keeping its playful charm. Melissa gazed intently at my baseball cap, her eyes lighting up with genuine enthusiasm. "I've been following this team since I was a kid. Haven't missed a single game," she confided. Trying to maintain my composure, I responded casually, "Oh, same here. Which player do you follow?" Initially, my wife sat between us, but as the game grew more intense, Melissa naturally drifted to my side, taking my wife's vacated seat. We dove into an animated discussion about the team's history and star players. Just before my wife returned, Melissa reluctantly moved back to her original spot. You two seem to be having quite the conversation. How long had my wife been watching? I kept my voice neutral, answering, just talking baseball. For the rest of the game, while chatting with my wife, I couldn't help stealing glances at Melissa. Her profile was stunning, and whenever our eyes met, she'd give me a shy, captivating smile. I was completely under her spell. Our team pulled off an amazing comeback win, and we all celebrated with high fives. A few days later, Melissa sent what seemed like an innocent message. I'm feeling bored. My wife often showed me these texts. Fresh from finishing her job search and being single, Melissa seemed to be genuinely looking for company. After that, Melissa started joining us regularly on our outings. As we spent more time together, our connection grew stronger, eventually leading to dinner invitations at her place. Her father and I clicked immediately over our shared industry experience and love for baseball, which led to many enjoyable drinking sessions. One day, we planned to visit a downtown museum. I texted my wife about a special exhibition we couldn't miss. Since it was close to where she lived, we agreed to meet there. When we arrived, I was surprised to see Melissa standing next to my waving wife. I crashed at your place last night, she announced. My wife looked apologetic, probably thinking she'd interrupted our rare alone time. We'd barely seen each other this past month due to our busy schedules. Secretly, though, I was thrilled Melissa was there. Since we all had different interests in art, we decided to split up and explore on our own. We should exchange numbers in case we get lost, Melissa suggested naturally, and that's how her contact info ended up in my phone. Though we never needed to use it, we found each other easily enough. After dinner, as I was getting ready to head home in the opposite direction, Melissa asked, "When will I see you again?" My heart skipped a beat. She'd just used my wife's favorite phrase. "Hey, Melissa, quit teasing." My wife playfully smacked her head. "Sorry." Melissa grinned mischievously, sticking out her tongue. "How about we plan a weekend getaway together?" Melissa's sudden suggestion got immediate enthusiasm from both of us, and before we knew it, we were driving to a scenic mountain villa, picked for its natural beauty at the lady's request. The drive was full of fun conversation and laughter. We reached the villa in the late afternoon. While we prepared dinner camping style, I found myself distracted by Melissa's elegant neck, exposed as she pulled her hair up to cook. As evening came, we moved inside for board games and drinks. The party continued until my wife, who couldn't hold her alcohol well, fell asleep. After carefully moving my wife to the bedroom and getting ready to turn in myself, Melissa approached with a sultry voice. "Stay up with me a little longer? I'd love another drink." The invitation was impossible to resist, and I agreed. As we shared drinks and stories, I found myself intoxicated not just by the alcohol, but by this surreal, intimate moment with Melissa, whom I'd admired for so long. Suddenly, Melissa's eyes took on an enigmatic sparkle as she spoke. "You know, I'm pretty good at reading fortunes. Want me to tell yours, Jacob?" Without hesitation, I extended my palm to Melissa, emboldened by the alcohol coursing through me. "Come closer," she beckoned, and with fluid grace, she settled beside me, closer than we'd ever been before. Her soft fingertips traced the lines of my palm as she murmured predictions about my career and future. As the alcohol took stronger hold, Melissa grew bolder. Her seemingly innocent touches, a light tap on my knee when laughing, leaning against my shoulder while feigning tipsiness, became increasingly intimate. Though I maintained my composure outwardly, inside I was trembling with excitement. Still, at this point, things remained somewhat under control. "How about another drink?" Melissa glided to the refrigerator and retrieved a beer. I stayed at the dining table, but then she unexpectedly perched herself on my knee. What started as sitting sideways gradually shifted until we faced each other, the tension between us reaching a fever pitch. "What now?" Melissa whispered seductively, bringing the beer to my lips. My nervousness made me spill some. "That's not the way," she teased with a playful smile, taking a sip before passing it to me with a kiss. In that instant, I knew there was no going back. From the moment she settled in my lap, warmth had been building inside me, and now my last thread of reason snapped with a soft click. Unable to resist any longer, I pulled her close, our kisses growing deeper and more passionate. Time seemed to stop as we lost ourselves in each other. Should we go to the bedroom? My voice shook, and Melissa answered with a silent nod. After hesitating briefly, I covered my soundly sleeping wife at the dining table with a blanket. Making sure she showed no signs of stirring, we made our way to the bedroom. Each step was charged with anxiety and anticipation, my heart racing faster and faster. In the darkness, I could barely make out Melissa's silhouette. She mounted me slowly, savoring every moment as we became one, our breaths mingling. The world around us seemed to fade away. The ticking clock, the ambient noise, everything disappeared as we lost ourselves completely in each other. Then it happened. With a sudden clunk, the bedroom door swung open, and there stood my wife. Everything after that became a blur at the sound of her screams. In my panic, I probably tried to explain, but I have no memory of anything from that night until we got home. The next morning, we had to start our journey back. Given the villa's remote location, we had no choice but to return in the same car. Those few hours felt like an eternity in hell, thick silence filling the car. My wife said she needed space, and naturally, our trio's relationship and all contact with Melissa ended. I sent her apologetic messages every day. As time passed and her anger seemed to subside, she finally read my message after a month, and a month after that, I got a call. "I missed you too much," she said. Her voice brought tears of remorse to my eyes. She was still in touch with Melissa, though their friendship wasn't as close anymore. The guilt of destroying their precious bond ate at me. Over the next year, we slowly rebuilt our relationship. We had our engagement ceremony and moved in together. Despite being busy with wedding preparations, we made time for each other. My wife loved her job and wanted to keep working until we had children. We made plans to save for a house and our future. But just as life seemed to settle into a peaceful rhythm, change was brewing on the horizon. One evening during dinner, my phone buzzed. The caller ID showed Melissa. Fighting to keep my nerves steady, I made sure my wife could hear me say, "It's work," before stepping outside to answer. "Hello?" Melissa's voice, unheard for so long, carried hints of loneliness and regret. "I need help picking out my father's 60th birthday gift. I don't know who else to ask." She made the request tentatively. Wanting to properly apologize for everything, I agreed to meet and hung up. On the day of our meeting, I lied to my wife about work and headed out. As I walked, I questioned myself. Why was I lying again? This didn't even need to be hidden. I should have been honest from the start. I wished we could have all gone together to choose his father's gift, like old times. But those days were gone. Arriving early for our meeting, I spotted an elegant figure approaching from a distance, her long hair swaying gently in the autumn breeze. I had to look twice to recognize Melissa. Time had only enhanced her beauty, adding a sophisticated grace to her already striking features. "It's been a while. I really appreciate you coming on such short notice." Despite some initial tension between us, memories of our shared past helped ease the awkwardness, and we soon fell into a comfortable rhythm. We wandered through the department store's various floors, searching for her father's gift while naturally reminiscing about old times. Eventually, tired from walking, we found refuge in a quiet cafe. As the sunset painted the sky in deep crimson hues, Melissa broke the comfortable silence. "I've missed those times. Since this might be our last meeting, would you join me for one final drink before we say goodbye?" Her voice carried a hint of melancholy as she made the suggestion, head slightly bowed. My heart constricted at the thought of never seeing her again. "I've really enjoyed today too." My phone's sudden ring interrupted us. Seeing my wife's name on the screen, I excused myself. "Just a moment, please." Stepping aside, I fabricated a story about an urgent work situation, telling her I might be working late, possibly all night. Returning to Melissa, I said simply, "Let's stay together a little longer." Melissa's eyes welled up at my words. We made our way to an upscale bar nearby, the kind of sophisticated establishment I rarely visited. It seemed like the perfect setting for a heart-to-heart conversation about that day and to properly apologize. As I searched for the right words to begin, Melissa spoke first. "About what happened at the villa. I'm truly sorry. I was drunk. The truth is, I've always envied what you have. I'm sorry for everything." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Overcome with emotion, I instinctively pulled her into an embrace, and she buried her face in my shoulder. After a moment, she whispered, her voice trembling, "We don't have to meet again after this, but please hold me one last time." Without a word, we headed for the elevator to the hotel. The moment the elevator doors sealed us off from the world, Melissa drew close and kissed me deeply. It was passionate, as if we were finally releasing all the emotions we kept buried for so long, and I surrendered completely to the moment. Once inside the hotel room, we lost ourselves in each other. Her gentle touch traced my features as our breaths mingled. Time seemed to stand still as we shared our most intense emotions. Our desire for each other only intensified as the night wore on, our passionate encounter lasting until the first rays of morning light filtered through the window. Sometime later, my wife mentioned that Melissa had received a marriage proposal. Her tone was professional, but I could detect underlying notes of both joy and slight regret. Though their friendship wasn't as close as before, they still maintained a connection. I had resolved to stay out of their relationship from then on. I couldn't deny the fact that I had damaged their precious friendship, something that still fills me with regret. My only consolation is knowing that Melissa has found happiness in her own life. One ordinary day, I received company baseball season tickets. On my drive home, I found myself dialing a familiar number. "I'll meet you at the stadium at 6 p.m. When I arrived at our meeting spot, I saw a woman approaching slowly from the distance, her long hair dancing in the breeze, still as captivating and beautiful as ever.